Holy cow.
I can't keep up.
Rich, you're still muted.
Oh, he knows.
Okay.
He
I
knows.
figured he did, but I just wanted to be sure.
He was doing a little bit of staging back there of something I've been missing for
For
2
someone
years.
who is irresponsible, really.
Very irresponsible.
This group probably heard the story more than once, but when I was doing the zone, I was doing the AV for zone. I think it was the St. Louis one. The Saturday night had a comedian as the entertainment, and he came in early, and we got a mic checked and all of this stuff. No big deal. Had a handheld wireless, and I said, when you get up there, I'll kick mute off, and we'll be good to go. Great, no problem. So he's got the wireless, and he's got it in his hand, and he's good. Well, I did. I am panicking in the back of the room because I know I checked the batteries. I know it worked. Everything's great. I come flying up with a new mic. I said, Dave, I'm just playing with you. And then I go back, and he said, this might not have been the smartest thing to do that to the guy who actually could mute you. And about 3 or 4 minutes into his shtick, I hit mute for about 2 seconds just to get even. And he loved it. I mean, we did not plan it. None of this was planned, but I enjoyed doing it. It was really nice. I'm going to close my door a minute because she would be here, but they had a huge shakeup at their company on Monday, and they're having a town hall about it today. So, quite unexpectedly, the U.S. CEO just walked away. That's usually not a good thing. No. She wants to be on that call. So I'll be right back.
Maybe they found out you're selling adult toys.
You never know. You never know.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
For Rich and Valerie, he posted, it's one of those Facebook things where you're reading along and the adult toys are walkers and wheelchairs, and I mean
canes.
He had everybody sucked in, and then there it was. So
you have to. I have not had a lot to laugh about lately, so you got to laugh where you can.
There's another one going around about somebody that got out of was getting into their car at Walmart, and a lady calls her a liberal because she has a mask on, and they get into a verbal altercation, then a physical altercation, and it's people that you'd never think. And then at the end it says, yeah, well, now that I've got you, you can pass it along and get other people thinking that you're that. So.
Well, for real, all my employees have been quitting because the ones that are supposed to keep telling people to keep their masks on.
Yeah. Yep. Morning, Tom.
Morning, everybody.
Hi, Tom.
Hey. How's our district governor?
Dave, you got me to laugh at. Dave Robinette, if you're still on.
I'm here. I'm not saying a word. I'm just gonna behave. Well, my version of behave. Let's put it that way.
I can honestly say I've been doing the work of 2 men as district governor so far, Laurel and Hardy. So
I was thinking more Abbott and Costello, but that's okay. Okay, if you're going to be Rich, if you're going to be that way, then I'll put mine on too. That's hard over these things, so forget it.
He lives in Kansas, so they got their own things going over there in Kansas, so they're extra cautious.
St. Charles and St. Louis County aren't doing too great right now either, so.
Morning, Jack.
Good morning, everyone.
Quite a few on right now. That's great.
Sir.
That's because we have, look at his mask. Oh my goodness.
Love it.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, for those of you that are here, that little over his right shoulder is a Service Above Self Rotary baseball cap. And I came up missing it, and I noticed one day on Facebook he had the hat on, So I have to pay dearly when RYLA comes back to get my hat back.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah,
you
don't
better
wanna
be
see-
practicing. I don't want to start our RYLA presentation early, but just for the rest of the Rotarians, we teach these children that there are consequences to your actions. That's just part of RYLA, and we still love you, but every action has a consequence, and Jerry's going to learn that next summer at RYLA.
So it's we still love you, but pay up anyway.
Well, yes, there are. Yeah, it's fines to be. There are fines to be dealt out, and not all of them are monetary fines. So,
well, and Rich, I didn't think about it till right now. You actually have to go through the trouble of storing it for 2 years. Jerry.
No.
That's true. That's true.
I didn't even think so.
Yeah, I was fully prepared last month to bring it to him, but now one more year of storage.
Okay. Well, that's what happens when you just are getting old and forgetful. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Jerry.
Now, is that cap part of RYLA's overhead?
I think
That's
it's
why
Jerry.
we have a GoFundMe account.
Yeah.
We have expenses like that. So.
So, Mike, how's it going? You chasing your tail?
He must be on mute.
He is muted.
My computer's not, my laptop's not responding as it should this morning. So we're in a better place than we were. I think we're making progress every week. So.
I see you were the first to go all online, weren't you?
Yeah.
And but the news doesn't give you credit. They now say Hazelwood was, so.
Oh, right. It was actually our board and Dr. Kilbride just kind of assessed the scenario and felt like it was the safest option given the current data. So.
Well, St. Charles, for what it's worth, is going 100% 5 days a week.
Oh.
So 750 plus kids and 50 plus staff in one building. Now they're saying they want a social distance in the cafeteria. Y'all have seen the school cafeteria. We start at 10:30 in the morning. We end lunch at 12:40. We're going to have to start about 8:30 or 9 and end about 2:30 to get everybody in. I mean, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'll try it a few times. They're not even sure. My staff has to wear masks, but students they're not sure of yet. So I may be looking at another career, at least for this year. I don't know yet. We'll see. And Mike, I'll be talking to you at some point.
For district
subs this year, and we're going to provide paid professional development for our virtual subs. So, you might want to consider that. We'd love to have you, and we've increased our sub pay substantially. So,
I've already put it out to a few other subs that I know would be a welcome. I'm not you, but I believe would be a welcome addition, and they're actually willing to come across that bridge. I mean, they're in St. Charles and willing to drive across the bridge. I'm being slightly facetious at that point because of the nature of the river there.
Rich and Valerie, Mike is the assistant superintendent for human resources at the school district that I retired from, that my daughter teaches in, my son-in-law and my grandsons are in, and no amount of money I would take that job, that inner circle. No. So, and Jack is a retired director of human resources from the same district. So, and then Tom was on the school board for 3 terms or 2 terms.
And taught, owner taught.
Well, actually,
I'm gonna-
Honor was also a director of human resources, weren't you, Ann?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
before I retired.
I was on 14 years before they convinced me to go away.
That was Joy that convinced you, wasn't it?
Well,
Ask a quick question before you guys get started. How's your attendance been since you've been doing online? Because our Rotary Club, our attendance has actually been better, like much better, which was kind of disappointing, but it's been much better online than it has been in person.
we
running
have,
a little low.
you know, some of us that would, like myself and Mary, that could not get to a normal meeting because of being at work, are able to do it. But we're a few of them that would always be at the meeting are not able to do it from a technology standpoint. Mike, if you want to kick it off, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to shut up. I know it's difficult for y'all to understand, but I'm even going to mute myself and shut up.
Really? Okay.
I would just like to welcome our guests, and would like to get started with the program, David. If there's anything else you'd like to say regarding our guests this morning, we're happy to have you. We're kind of not quite so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed how we would normally be, but we're hanging in there and staying strong as our Overland Rotary Club should. So doing everything we can, and we're happy to have you with us this morning.
Jerry, you want to go ahead and do the introductions? I feel that you would be much better at doing that than me.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know where she is on your screen, but she's top just to my left. That lady right there, and I gotta stop. She is my service above self role model. I met her quite a few years ago when I dropped off one of our RYLA students, because that's one of the things that I would do since I had the free time during the summer. And I walked in, and there was this amazing organization to this. And I kind of snuck a peek at the curriculum that they had at the time, and so I went up to Valerie and I said, hey, this looks pretty darn interesting and pretty darn well run. I've seen a lot of camps, and I said, if you ever need any help, I'd love to be a part of this. And that following March, I got an email that said, we'd love to have you. And I went, uh-oh, what did I get myself into now? And so because of Valerie, I got involved with RYLA. And then I met Rich, who is I'll tell you what, if I would have loved to have had him here to do one of our dances at school, because he is one heck of an MC. And Valerie, by the way, is one of the directors. She's in charge of all the paperwork and the logistics and everything. And Rich is the the program director. So they just, and Rich, he kind of bit the Kool-Aid and finally joined Rotary on the other side of the state. So when I talk about my Kansas City friends, these are two of them. And I guess it was 2 summers ago, or during the school year, I said, hey, Rich, I'm retiring this year, and I would love to get back in Rotary. Any chance that I could come on as a professional staff, that's an educator. And you got an email back, sorry, we're full up, but we'd love to have you as a counselor. I said, well, I've stepped away from Rotary, but if I join Rotary again, can I come back? And he said, we'd love to have you. So that's when I came back to Rotary, and I'm a Rotarian again because of RYLA. It's one of my biggest passions, as you guys in the club know. It's you can go to this academy with your head hanging low about youth and come out and boom, it's within the first day, it's amazing. So Rich Linden, Valerie Anderson.
Well, golly, Jerry. Get me all misty-eyed first thing in the morning.
Me too. So, but it's the truth. It is the truth. And I've told you that from that dance where we had to put our superheroes on our shoes, or our socks, because we couldn't go into the gym in shoes.
Well, thank you. And from Rich and I, thanks for having us. We have heard about the Overland Club for many, many years, and seeing your different faces, I realized how many of you that we bumped into and do know. So a little about me and Rich. Both of us have been with the RYLA program for 17 years. So RYLA's been a program in Missouri for 28. This is only the second summer in 28 years that a session hasn't been held. So we have a long history here. It's a Rotary International program, of course. It's one of their premier flagship programs. It's the Rotary Youth Leadership Award. That's a little confusing, so we added Academy at the end to just to illustrate that it's not a camp, but it's an academy. So this is my 12th year directing. Kind of like Jerry, I directed for 10 years, and then I stepped back for 5, not from Rotary, but from directing from RYLA, and as a counselor serving under Rich as the director. And then 2 years ago, the board asked me to come back. So I helped start and create the multi-district RYLA 17 years ago. I'm in the North Kansas City Rotary Club, and I joined Rotary 18 years ago. I'd been a Rotarian about 6 months, and the district governor said, "Hey, you ever heard of this program?" No, of course I hadn't. He goes, "Well, why don't you be our representative in our district?" So that's kind of how, you know how it is. You're a new Rotarian and they love to give you a job. So I've been doing youth district work this whole time. And just last summer, Rich and I presented at the Rotary International Conference in Germany, and we were the only breakout session for RYLA. So the Missouri RYLA Academy is a model program for Rotary International. So the kind of a little bit about where we stand as far as that goes. RYLA, Jerry, you probably all know this, but Jerry could, I'm sure, he's a champion for us for many, many years. Of course, I was like 3 years old when I started, right, Jerry? Now I'm a whopping 23. But so RYLA is a 4-day academy that we have in Fulton, Missouri. We pick the center of the state, so we make it as accessible to all families as we can, given transportation and how things are laid out. We have 2 sessions now. We moved to 2 sessions a couple of years ago, probably, Rich, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So we have 100 students. We've almost hit our cap of 100 students per session. We're pretty close. We're this close. And so what we do over the last years, of course, since the program started, over 2,000 students have come through RYLA. It's a high school program, and we prefer to have students who are moving into their sophomore year or junior year, because we want them to experience RYLA, but the true RYLA, the true experience really begins when they come home. I always say that, you know, you send your students to us, I promise we'll send them home to you and they'll be better. And so we send them back, and we want them to have an opportunity to interface with their Rotary Club, the one that sponsored them. So if you wanted, we've been doing a Facebook campaign for the last 2 weeks, making videos, and kind of, we're just much more, it's more engaging, especially when you hear speak. And so what Rich has done for the videos is he actually has gone over particular components and had activities related to what we actually do at RYLA. And what my videos are is so what happens when they come home. And they're very inspiring because they're the stories of the students, and what's happened to them in their lives, in their service journey after they come home from RYLA. And I guess the thing that I wanted to really leave you with is that all of this work and all of the money that Overland, you've always been a really great investor in RYLA from the very beginning, all those years ago when we combined the 3 districts. And so I just wanted you to know that what you do and what you contribute, it genuinely matters. So with that, I think I'll just turn it over to Rich.
Thanks, Val. Actually, that is exactly what I was thinking. So that's a perfect segue. I'm just looking at the faces here and realizing one of the successes of RYLA, Missouri RYLA Academy, is the support that we get in Overland has been above and beyond. In fact, if we're looking here, I have 25% of the people that are on this meeting have served on leadership capacity for Missouri RYLA Academy on the board of directors. I know David Robinette spent years molding and shaping that in leadership. I know Jerry Nolan spent years in that, and now I think we've sucked Tom into it as well. That's outstanding for one club to have that many board of directors throughout the years. I don't know of very many other clubs that have had that many, except for my club. Let me back up. I'm a member of the Kansas City Plaza Rotary Club. You may have heard of us. We're snobby and think we're really better than everyone else. And everybody across the state just laughs and makes fun of us. So that's my club. I don't know. I just landed in this club. But I want to talk about why RYLA is so successful in Missouri. Maybe 3 years ago, I had a dream that I wanted to elevate this, and I needed someone to help me. And I talked Val. It was like The Godfather. Okay, just when she thought she was out, I pulled her back in, and I'm like, "How would you like to come back as administrative director?" The timing was right, and I had a vision to elevate Missouri RYLA. I really believe that it's one of the best RYLAs in the entire world, but I wanted to quantify that and show the world. But I needed someone from the administrative side that was ready and capable of doing this. We had the technology 3 years ago to start making it all electronic and all online, not the actual academy itself, but to showcase everything that people were doing. And if you remember your club, as you were registering kids, we flipped over and went all electronic registration. All of those things came into play about 4 years ago. And I wanted to take this up. One of the big successes of RYLA is our curriculum. We do not believe that RYLA ends at the graduation ceremony. That's just the beginning. And we emphasize this to the students, that it is the beginning of RYLA, not the end. So we've developed a curriculum where by the end of RYLA, it's not just feel good, touchy feel it. Do we have an incredible time? Yes. Do the kids make friendships for life? Yes, they do. But we really wanted them to, what's the bottom line? What's the why on this? We wanted to indoctrinate them into the whole entire world of Rotary. And we wanted to get them so pumped up that not only would they be a lifetime servant leader, but they would want to start an Interact club. They would want to go on a youth service exchange. They would want to join a Rotaract club, start one in their college, and become a Rotarian, and make immediate impacts in their community. So that's kind of how we developed the curriculum. Here's the really awesome news. We just finished working with a professional writer and publishing company over this past year, and our curriculum, we realized it's being asked for by RYLA and Rotary clubs all over the world, and we needed to clean it up a little bit. So hired a professional writer and a publishing company, and now it is a full-on training manual, including all of the administrative stuff. Val has a whole entire section in the back, everything from selection of staff to background checks to safety protocols to insurance to how you register, how you deal with all of those things. So we can literally package this and give this to other Rotary clubs and other RYLAs all over the world. So that's kind of been the evolution of it. The curriculum is designed to create a service project. And if you've ever gone to our website, MissouriRYLA.com, you will see all of the kids' service projects. They're all there for the past 2 years. We have all of them going back since the beginning, maybe 5 years ago when we started putting them online. We actually have those. that can be made available. So occasionally we'll have a student that went 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and they'll email Valerie and they'll say, hey, can you find my service project? And we will give them the link, because they are so complete that in the past 2 years, Rotary clubs have started cutting checks and sponsoring their fake service, their simulated service projects, because they're that good, complete with a timeline, collaborations, a full, incredible detailed budget. These kids go all out on this. One of the cool parts about RYLA, and Jerry's been there before, and hopefully, Jerry, we could get down the road some more of your Overland Rotary Club members to come on, is our staff. This is very unique to RYLAs all over the United States. We partner up Rotarians that volunteer to come on as counselors, and we give them a partner who is a school educator, school counselor, and they partner up to run a team for the week. That's really important. The school counselors are amazing. They bring in a lot of knowledge, skill, and professionalism that we need to meet the changing needs of our students. Even though these are incredible kids, they still occasionally have emotional problems and stuff they're dealing with. Having the school counselors there is phenomenal. And then, of course, the Rotarians who have a lifetime of service as role models. So that combination, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. We just finished a series of Zoom reunions. We'd never done a reunion before, because we're a 3-district RYLA, one of the only 3-district, multi-district RYLAs in the whole entire world. So it was really hard to do a reunion to get kids from Carthage and kids from Cape Girardeau and kids from St. Joe and St. Louis and Kansas City and Joplin, all to be able to come together. But we've been able to through Zoom. So if there's one blessing through all of the COVID stuff, it's learning how to connect even more with technology and keep ourselves connected and integrated. So, and the kids all do this. We just finished our last Zoom reunion Monday, and the kids are all, they do this through Snapchat and Instagram. They have their own groups. We've asked the students if they stay in touch with each other, and they all stay in touch with each other. So our next step we're doing right now is Val is she's trying to gather and quantify service projects and what they're actually doing. We want to record what they've done after they leave RYLA. And it's been just kind of anecdotal up until now. And she's really putting some numbers in it. I want to be able to tell Rotarians in the state of Missouri, you've spent almost $1 million in the past 20 years supporting RYLA. And I want you to get something out of it. I want you to be able to see the fruit and of this labor that we've had for 20 years. And it is spectacular. We had one girl who graduated from RYLA 12 years ago, right, Val? Probably 2008, 2009. She just got married this past year, and she is a captain in the United States Air Force. And for her wedding registry, she and her fiance didn't want any gifts. They didn't register at any stores, no bridal registry. Their registry was, please donate to Missouri RYLA Academy, because it changed her whole entire life. So these are some of the stories that we're gathering to put on the website. We have a young man who went through RYLA, and he's, gosh, Val, JC's very young. He's probably only, 22? Maybe that.
Maybe at the very most, probably
20 to 22. He just got inducted into his Rotary Club. He just became a Rotarian this summer down in Springfield area in Branson.
The Rotary Club that sponsored him is a RYLarian.
Yeah. So he is now a Rotary Club member of the Rotary Club that sponsored him to go to RYLA. So these are some of the really cool things that we're hearing. These kids are doing incredible things, starting successful soup kitchens. I mean, doing all kinds of drives for homeless people, traveling all over the world. We have Val, who's the one, he was one of the very first RYLarians. He's in Washington, D.C. What's his name?
Oh, Garrett.
Yeah, he has a PhD, and he is a huge leader and advocate in human rights and equal rights and just peace and love and harmony. And he's a giant spokesperson in the Washington, D.C. area. And he is constantly supporting RYLA and Missouri RYLA Academy. So it's pretty cool. Some news that you may not here, we got asked to, and unfortunately this got delayed because of COVID, but we were asked to go to Rotary International offices, headquarters in Chicago. We're supposed to be there right now. Actually, today is Wednesday. Val and I would be there right now setting up for the conference. We were asked by RI to train not only the United States, but all of North America in a 3-day training on how to do a RYLA. This was crazy over this past couple of years when we decided to elevate this and really set the standard, that RYLAs all over the United States and all over the world, it's like the Wild West. Man, every district just kind of does something different. And some of them are wonderful. We've met some incredible people that have really good, strong programs. And some of them are, we camp. It's just camp. It's fun camp. That's why we call ours our academy. So some of them are, it's goofy and weird that there's no set standard that RI has for RYLA. So they latched onto us. Our training got canceled, obviously, but they told us it's not canceled. We're just delayed. So at any given point, when things get back to somewhat normal or a new normal, and we feel like it's safe enough, we'll be going to Chicago to train people from all over North America, and that includes the Caribbean. So those are just some of the highlights of RYLA. I do want to give a little aside. So since we couldn't have RYLAs this summer, Val and I said, let's make some videos. Let's try to do social media. All these kids are on social media all the time. I don't know if you have children or grandchildren, but they're always just on, taking pictures every 2 minutes and sending it to each other. So we wanted to pump that up. So we made a bunch of silly videos and fun videos trying to get them engaged. And it was a blast. And Val can talk about how many people they reached here in a second. But the funny story is she would boost some of them on Facebook. You can just spend a few dollars and it will kind of basically boost it all over. And we had one, and I was just teaching a cheer. That's it. I was just telling, we have this silly cheer that gets everybody pumped up and you clap your hands at RYLA. It's just a quick energizer. And I did it, and I encouraged all the kids to do it as loud as they could to see if they could wake up their parents or whatever. But I had this is just a sign that I just have in my office. I don't know if you can read that or not, but it's a made up make-believe sign from a make-believe TV show called Longmire. It's about cowboys and sheriffs in the Wild West of Wyoming. And it's just one of my favorite shows. And I went to Longmire Days last year to meet the whole entire cast. And it's just sitting up on the top of my bookshelf just because it was a memento that I got from Longmire Days. So Val tried to boost one of the posts of the cheer I did, and it got denied by Facebook and Instagram for being, what was it, Val? Politically motivated.
Too political.
Too political. So Val and I were like, what? I just taught a cheer and told the kids to make the world a better place. How is that too political? We really couldn't. And then we realized I have an election sign from a make-believe fictional TV show from a make-believe fictional character. So apparently that was too political. I don't know, but it made me laugh. I haven't done a post on it, but Facebook makes me laugh. So now I have to take it down just so I don't get blocked by anybody, even though it's totally make-believe, but whatever. So, Val, you want to tell them about that boost and how many, overdoing all of these, how many people we've reached, how many views and stuff like that? Because it's incredible.
Yeah, it has been incredible. And I strongly suggest it if you're a Rotary Club. We did it as kind of a test to see what would happen. But if you're working on a project, whatever it may be, but in particular, if you're tied to an organization and you have that kind of page on Facebook, it will have a little blue button and it will say boost. So for about $110 over period total collective of the last 2 weeks, Rich and I have done, I don't know, 9 or 10 videos. So we've boosted them for probably $10, and you can decide how long you want it to go. It can be 3 days, it could be 2 weeks, and they take that $10 and break it down by day. And then you can decide who you want the video to go to. So the only people I marked, I didn't want it to go to the general public. My mother doesn't care about RYLA and things like that. So what I did is we have about 450 followers. Those are people that have been to our Facebook page and they're like, oh yeah, and they, click, I like it. So it knows who's liked our page. So Jerry's liked our page, Rich, whoever. So you can decide. So what I did is I picked the people that have liked our page, so those 450 and their friends. And then you can decide the geography of where you want it to go, where these friends may be related to the people that are following it. The reason why I'm telling you this is because, like, for example, Tom's a district governor. I know you have a district Facebook page. So if you were doing a major district project, Tom could post it. He could pay $5, $10, $2, whatever you want to pay. And then he could pick everyone that he's friends with and their friends. Well, you would probably keep it in the central St. Louis area or Cape Girardeau, and you can set the geography so it goes across whatever region you want it to. So in the last 2 weeks, I was just looking at it. One of the videos got almost 6,000 unique views because I picked Rotarians and their friends, because we know a lot of the same people. And you know a lot of Rotarians, and Jerry knows a lot of Rotarians, and I do. So I thought, why don't we market? We wanted to do something to put ourselves still relevant in front of the Rotary clubs, because we are not having RYLA this year. And in July, I always feel like I'm kind of doing a re-education of new club presidents. Now, the last couple years, we've presented at PEDS. So we kind of have most of them in the room with us, and that we have Rich present, and he's a hard one to forget. And so this year, because we didn't do pets, we wanted to figure out a way. So in the last 2 weeks, we've had over 20,000 unique views of what our videos and our projects that we're doing, and for $100. So it's been fascinating to watch. I love that kind of behind the video kind of information, the analytics. So I would recommend, if you guys are doing a club project or even in your district, you can have a huge reach, and for a couple of dollars even. So that's how we decided we wanted to get our faces back. And 2 years ago, when I stepped back in as the director, co-director with Rich, I call it the World Domination Tour, because I wanted, not that we really think we're dominating the world, but I wanted a catchy phrase that we could refer to it. So the World Domination Tour, that first year, Rich and I traveled all through the state of Missouri, presenting to any Rotary club that would invite us. And we hit over 30 Rotary clubs that first year. And so, and then last year we took the year off because we're like, hey man, we're going to hit our 200 kids. We're good. And of course now COVID's happened. So we're going to go back on our World Domination Tour. So you are actually stop 51 of our World Domination Tour. So we're moving into Zooms and different things. We're moving into a whole new format that we can participate into. So it takes, we're always educating, but the investment is worth it. Rich is right. I could tell you, I have pages of information or stories that the students have done. So
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Last year we had a student that finished RYLA, was in the St. Joe area, had a tragedy, lost her parents, lost her entire parents, had to live with their grandmother. It was really bad, a very, very poor socioeconomic situation. The grandmother was sick, couldn't do anything. And the daughter ended up becoming homeless. And she connected with one of her Rylarians that she had become super close friends with at RYLA. This young lady was living in the St. Joe area, and her friend was living in the Nevada area. And her friend's parents, who are Rotarians, long story short, they ended up adopting her. And she now lives with a girl that she was in a small group with at RYLA, who became good friends, whose parents are Rotarians. And she's graduated this year. from Nevada High School. So you just hear stories like this all the time. It's pretty amazing. David, can I do I have permission to share my screen? I just wanted to close
give me
this
just
out.
a minute. Give me just a minute. Whoops, and I will. While I'm doing this, let me, if I may, on what you were saying just now, I'm going to make you co-host.
Okay.
So you should be able to do it. I remember when I was there as my district governor, and I was there on the Wednesday or Thursday, whatever the last day is, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And you all were down in one of the main meeting rooms, and teachers, the counselors and such were on one side, the kids were on the other side, and they asked each one to say something, what you learned. And for those that know my own family's history with our daughter, you know why this is so special. This one young lady, I could see her, she took the mic, it looked like she was going to say, and then handed off, and then asked for it back, and this happened 3 or 4 times. She finally stood up, and she said that 2 or 3 weeks prior to coming down, she had attempted to kill herself. She didn't think there was anything worth living, nothing was worth it, and so on and so forth. I thought about that. She then went on to say how many friends she made and all of this. I've thought about that over the years, and I brought it up to many Rotary clubs over the years. What power of Rotary? How many other families would send their kid after a few weeks or a month or whatever the time frame was, it was quite short, to a group of strangers they've never met and say, here, I trust you implicitly, you will take care of my child. That speaks volumes for how RYLA is respected and what they do.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? That's one of the big reasons we love having our school counselors be there on staff too. Because as these kids open up their hearts, as they're in a place where there's just a complete incredible friendship and acceptance, stuff's going to occasionally come out. So having the counselors there is incredible. So the Rotarians don't have to do the heavy lifting when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, for sure. Do you have me set?
Yep, you should be able to co-host.
Excellent. Hey, I'm going to show a quick video if everyone's cool with that. Let me make sure I'm going to share my sound. Oop. All right. And then when this is done, if we have any questions for Val and I'm going to talk a little bit about this video, but here you go. Watch and enjoy.
My name is Abigail Reese.
My name is Tyler Swift.
Caitlin Johnson.
My name is Henry Witt.
My name is Rebecca Bartlett.
Give me your heart, give me your song, sing it with all your might. Come to the fountain and you can be satisfied. There is a peace.
Honestly, I don't really have any expectations for this week. I'm just looking to come and learn new things, basically.
When the kids first show up on day one, it kind of looks like a middle school dance and nobody really wants to talk to anybody.
Coming into this week, I really hope that I can make a lot of friends, but I was super nervous because I'm really bad at making friends sometimes, so I just want to meet new people and have a lot of fun.
On the first day, I was really scared because my mom told me I was coming to this camp a week ago, so she kind of just threw it on me, and I was like, oh, great.
As soon as you start, let go. Give me your heart, give me your song, sing it with all.
I made friends so quickly because all the activities we've done are so involving, and it just brings everybody closer together.
We do a little cheer, so I'm going to teach you that cheer right now. So everybody repeat after me. All right, all right.
In everyday life, it usually doesn't happen that way where we just meet each other and then we're friends and we trust each other.
Let go. Give me your heart, give me your song, sing it with all your might. Come through the fountain.
We actually never really got frustrated. It was really weird. We would get flustered, I guess, but even when we couldn't finish a task, we were never upset. We were just darn, I guess we're gonna do it again.
A lot of students out here, a lot of these kids out here are really trying their best to work together, be productive.
I would say say the biggest thing I've learned this week is how to let other people lead and be a follower. I've always been more of like a natural leader. I really love being in control, but like this week I've really had to learn how to have other people assume that role, and it's been a really great experience.
Mist on the mountain rising.
It's taught me to be a good leader, and the games have sort of taught me to always take everyone's ideas into consideration.
Lessons I've learned this week at RYLA, like, it may have been fun and games here, but I know I can definitely apply them in my community.
There's somebody out there who doesn't have it as good as you, and not to judge people, and like not to read a book by its cover.
I think the biggest thing that I'm going to take away from this is just how key communication is.
I have learned that you need to communicate with your teammates to make things effective, and as well as be a leader in your school.
There's no way to tell.
We met a bunch of random strangers, and we all came together to work together, not even knowing each other.
Since I'm a senior, what I'm going to take back is I'm going to learn how to bring those freshmen up to have more confidence in themselves and be more outgoing, because freshman year is how you build yourself for the rest of high school.
I was just going to do this like to put it on my resume and stuff, but after all of it, it's actually been really inspiring, and it's made me want to actually go out and do things and make things happen.
What I'm going to take from this camp is really just how to work with the team the right way, and I've learned my weaknesses.
From total strangers to best friends in 4 days, which anyone like an adult, I have never been best friends with somebody I met 4 days earlier.
They recognized on their own that this is not about just RYLA. They immediately recognized that. I think that Rich did a great job of explaining that and translating it to everyday life, and I think that that was key.
It really refuels me as a teacher to come here and work with a group of students that dedicates their life to service above self. And while we all have our own stories and we fight our own battles, it's nice to see these kids unified towards a common goal and making the world a better place. And so that really helps me re-energize for a whole school year. When sometimes you can get rough, you can come here and see that there's still great young people in this world, and we're going to be okay.
So that was 2018, but I've watched that video maybe 70 times, and I still get choked up every time I see it. So here's the cool news. The board of directors realizes we need a video. We need another video made for specifically targeting Rotary clubs and Rotarians and business people. So I go into the studio today, actually, in about 2 hours to start working with our film producer, and we're going to start editing and writing a new video that'll go on the website. So that's pretty cool. But I don't know how we're going to top that video you just saw. So it's pretty awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Val, did I miss anything? No. I feel like we're preaching to the choir. Overland has supported RYLA for so long. We 3 board of directors here sitting here. So, but does anybody have any questions, even hard, difficult questions that they'd like to ask about Missouri RYLA Academy?
If you do have a question, just unmute yourself, because during the presentation I muted everybody.
Thanks, David.
I was going to say some of the other people that have been champions in 6060 is Steve Bacon and Michelle Goad out of the St. Louis Club. Jerry, who else is there? It's like flying away from me, but and we're always looking for Rotarian counselors. I was doing the math. I think that we've had over 70 different Rotarian counselors. And so we've had 40 different school counselors. So we are always deepening our bench.
Yeah, and not only have we had Rotarians, we're guest counselors over 70, and the same with school counselors. We've had the best of the best. I think we've had now to date 7 district governors that have come and been a counselor at RYLA at some point. And we have 5 of our school counselors that served as the Missouri State School Counselors Association president. So both in Rotary and in the educational field, we have some pretty awesome heavy hitters that come on and spend time at RYLA. So no questions?
You all gave us some examples of follow-up of previous participants. I was just wondering, do you have a sort of a formalized way to conduct follow-ups with students so that you know what has happened to them over the years?
Val's working on that. I'm going to turn this over to her, but I will just say in the 5 years that she was out of the administrative role, we had nothing. We had no way to, so it was all just anecdotal if they came, but technology's helped in the past 4 or 5 years. And now Val is like, no, we need to get some hard data on this. So she's putting together some stuff. I'll let her talk about that.
Well, Jack, you bring up a really great point. And like Rich said, up until about 4 or 5 years ago, especially with the reach of social media, that has been profound in what we've tried to do. I've looked through different RYLAs. I was on the International RYLA Committee for 3 years. I went to 5 international RYLAs. So I met everybody who's anybody in Rotary as a Rotarian, RYLArian. And everyone struggles. All the Rotary RYLAs, the districts, the clubs, we all struggle with that because it's such a transient group. But social media, like Rich said, has kept them connected. And so they tell each other what they're doing, but also we're able, it's not called stalking, but we're able to creep or to just follow the kids on Facebooks, the ones that are posting and stuff. We have our own private, every session has its own private page. And so Rich, about once a year, once every 18 months, we'll throw out a note like, hey, what have you done with what you learned at RYLA the last year? And so that's where this Zoom meeting idea came from that we've done the last 2 weeks, is that we met with each session. We didn't have huge turnouts, but even the counselors know what their small group kids are doing. Each counselor team has 10 kids, so they're able to kind of keep track of them, and then we can reach out to them and we get the information back. But Jack, you're right, and it's a problem across Rotary. You know how kids are.
But so here's our goal. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry.
So our goal is to, I call it return on investment. So for me, being a steward of the program and also now being a Rotarian, I want a return on my investment as a Rotarian. And so we want to be able to put that into hard data. So Val's been collecting stuff. So we want to know how many service projects did these kids do? How many of them are involved in Interact? How many of them have gone on to become Rotarians? We're actually collecting that hard data right now, but it's going to take probably another year or two as we start gleaning it. But it would be really cool to just have a quick pictogram that shows Missouri RYLA Academy students went on to, do so many service projects, be involved in so many international study groups and all this stuff. So we're working on it.
And we're revamping our website. We're going to start that here probably next month, Rich and I. And I want to figure out a way that we can, that's the real story. And so there's the mechanics of it and going on to the website in particular to register the kids and things like that. But the story is the real story. And we know that. And so we're going to try to get that funneled into our website. So Rotarians, as they come to the site, they can read them for themselves, their own words.
Some of the, actually 2 or 3 of my first group, I follow them and they follow me on Facebook, and it's really kind of cool to see they're getting married now and having children now, and and just to see what kind of young men and women they have become is just amazing. It's the old saying, a waterfall starts but with one drop. I mean, that's kind of been my philosophy all throughout teaching and everything. And those of you that know me and know me as an educator, if there's just even one person that you can touch and gain, so the world gains something from them, and that's one of the things that RYLA gives to me, and that's why it's been so special.
I would also say I would encourage all of you to just go to MissouriRYLA.com, and on the top, just go to service projects and click it. They're all in Google Docs, and you can look at the actual service projects of every single team and what they do. Years ago in our curriculum, we forced all of the groups to do a hunger service project. But as technology grew, and I realized these kids have incredible passion and incredible reach themselves, we changed it in the curriculum, and now we let the groups decide what is their passion, what hurts their soul the most, and what they want to do. It just has to fall within the 6 areas of focus of Rotary International, and it has to be sustainable. So we kind of go through this, and then they do things I'd have never thought of before. I would never have thought of this particular need. So if you go on the website, you can see those service projects and their budgets and their timeline and the collaborations and the reach. It's pretty cool.
Well, and this year, I think this year was the first year, wasn't it, Rich, that and Valerie, that you actually live streamed through some of your professional connections the presentations of the students. It's kind of like you've said, like a Shark Tank, and it did a fantastic job. It's just amazing.
Yeah, on the last day of RYLA, David, since you've been there, this has changed. So the kids work on these service projects. We call it the Amazing Race, like the TV show, but they're running all around campus, but they're really working and building a service project. And then on the last day, they would have to get up and present it to the staff. And then last year I realized, let's go big. When we presented in Germany, all of the Rotarians from all over the world that were in our session said, we want to see this. So they have a giant auditorium in William Woods University. It's a big dome. So we made the kids go up on stage with a giant projector that projects just like a TED Talk. And then we live streamed it to the world. And we had people tuned in from over 20 countries. Japan, I mean, they were watching at 2 a.m. in some countries, logging on to watch our kids present. And it's kind of Shark Tank style, where you would have to evaluate their service project and see if it was actually something that was feasible to do. So it was pretty powerful.
I remember one video or one group that was in there, and this might have been after I was governor because I popped in a few times, where they were raising funds for something, and somebody, I don't remember what the project was. No, it may have been the hunger. And somebody said, well, what about if we have a car wash or something, and then if we invite the Kansas City Chiefs, I think it was, maybe some of their players or their cheerleaders would come, and that would give more credence and so on. Well, don't tell a kid you can't do it, because I do remember them actually calling the Kansas City Chiefs and them saying, yeah, we'd say, if you arranged it, we'd send somebody down. I would never have had the gall to call up the Chiefs and say, I'm just thinking of an idea, but if I did, would you do it? This is where the kids are amazing, that they are willing to take on that risk and do stuff that we're not really, that we've learned as adults we really shouldn't do. Any other questions, comments, or anything?
Yeah, I have one, Dave. Valerie, I know at your presentation is you're a very organized person.
Yes.
And I spent my career in the office products industry, and I'm impressed with the color coding and the position of all your Post-it notes. And do you have more Post-it notes in the office than what we're seeing?
These notes are awesome. These are actually they're not sticky notes. They're magnetic notes.
Oh, they're magnetic. Oh.
Hang up so you rub them on your head.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
You can do whatever you want to. They come from Europe. So
Okay.
Robert, I'm feeling you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for having us this morning. This has been awesome.
We really appreciate you all coming, virtually, but I mean, it is morning for you too. It's hard to find speakers for a 7 a.m. meeting. So I've learned you make the ask first, and then you tell them what time. I mean, it is the 4-way test. It does fit, is all the truth. It's just the order in which you lay things out. I know I'm devious. I admit it. I'm Catholic raised. I know how this works. But we truly do appreciate you coming. Riley is an exceptional program, and personally I want to thank you both for everything you do. I know Jerry and I have talked numerous times about it. It is something that it is just very impressive, to put it mildly. So we will do our best to get people lined up for next year, and let's plan on next year and let's see what happens from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, thank you so much, Dave. You've always been a great supporter, especially the year as district governor. That was a little turbulent.
That was interesting.
So, as we told our board, we're just moving forward and planning that we're going to meet in person next summer. And that's just where we live in our minds. So we're optimists. So, yep.
You all take care. I will send, I should have asked first and I didn't, but I record each one of these meetings, and then we have a separate Rotary YouTube channel for our club that I then post that to and send it out. Rich is saying it's okay. Valerie, you good with that too? Yes. I mean, you're all over Facebook and everything. I figured, if you're not the shy and retiring type, so I didn't think that was going to be an issue. I know, really. So I'll get the newsletter out. Remember, there will not be a meeting next week. We're taking that one off, and I've got to start looking for August speakers. I'm sorry, we need to start looking for August speakers. Never mind, I'll just stop there. It's been a long several months of finding speakers, so we truly appreciate you both coming, and nothing else for good of the cause. Mike had to jump off for another call. And
this is Bob Courtney. Can I make another comment?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
Since we're at that meeting next week, I'd just like to share with you that my son Matt has gone through his bone marrow biopsy, and his 2 defective items in his bone marrow, which were called 7 and Q and P53, are both non-existent in his bone marrow, and it's a very, very plus thing. These were the things that were precancerous. Could have caused leukemia later in his life. So it looks like everything is working as it should. It's just a matter of time. But that was a real plus this week when he found out that the P53 was not in his blood, in his bone marrow. So I'd just like to share that with y'all. Thank you.
Fantastic, Bob. Thank you. Very good news. You all have a great week, or a couple of weeks, and I'll be sending the newsletter out and then a reminder later, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, Rich. By the way, group, when I sent Valerie a Facebook private message as we were meeting 2 weeks ago, and there was no hesitation. Sure, yeah, we'll be there. Well, maybe Rich will be there, but I'll be there. So, and Rich, you guys are special. You guys know that.
Y'all take care.
Bye, everybody.
Be safe. Bye.
Thanks.